So here's something I look for when I'm trapping through the ice for beavers. You don't always get these conditions, but every once in a while, if you get clear ice, you can see bubbles. And these bubbles tell you where the beavers are moving, where they're coming and going from. So the way it works is when a beaver's up in the hut, they clean themselves off, they're really, really good at preening. They get, they oil themselves and essentially they get dry. When they come out of the hut, there's a trail of bubbles, that air that's coming off of their fur. And you'll see these big long runs. And so we just got a skiff of snow, so it's not, you can't see it quite as well as I could yesterday. But essentially, we've got a hut here, and this is a massive hut. We've trapped here before, and it just, every year beavers show up, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So we've got 2 food beds here. Obviously this big food bed here. There's also a little bit of a pocket over here. And what the bubbles told me, and again, these are like air bubbles. What the bubbles told me was that the beavers were coming out of the hut and they were going in 2 directions. They were going out around this feed bed and they were coming out and going in between these 2 feed beds. So what I did was I made 3 sets, made one on a nice run of bubbles over there. Then I made another, you could tell that there's an entrance tucked up in here. So I'm not blocking the entrance, but I'm putting my baited set, these are all baited sets, right in their face. When they come out, they're gonna be looking at it. They can go around it, but at least I know they're gonna see it. Put one here, and then I just put a 3rd set off on the edge where I'm thinking, okay, if they're heading to this food bed. I baited the 2 near the hut with a potato, and I baited this one with aspen. Just a couple wires that are hanging it. Take off my side safeties. I like to add an extra clip. So this cable here is clipped to my 330 with a swivel on it. So it's just adding a swivel, and it's tied to something that just couldn't get dragged through the ice hole. So get ready to send it back in. Beavers tend to travel. Oh, here's your little tip. Make sure that your wire, your cable that you have attached to something else is out of the water, and kind of, you'll often like set it up so it doesn't freeze onto the ice, because there's nothing worse than coming back, a little bit of snow, and you chop, and you chop through that. As far as depth of water, beavers tend to travel pretty close to the top of the ice. So, 4 to 6 inches. I usually have those eyelets, they're sticking up 4 to 6 inches below ice. So your bait is, if this is the top of the ice, your bait's probably 6 inches below the ice.
And you don't want it too high because the beaver fur can freeze to the ice, right?
Yeah, so sometimes that'll happen, and sometimes it's just the nature of it, the way they get caught. If that animal touches the top of the ice, it'll freeze to it. And when that happens, don't yard it out. Don't pull it off. Chop it out and take that piece of ice home with you. Thaw it out in the fur shed, because if you just rip it off, you'll singe that hair. You either pull it out completely or the tip of that fur gets wound up. All right, so that is what an aspen set looks like. Now I'll show you what a potato set looks like. We already did a little bit of trap checking before we started rolling the camera, because I just can't help myself. Too excited when we're checking traps. Let's see if you can see this one through the ice. So that's just a potato. It's
just a small potato, or a half or a quarter of a larger potato.
That's and we skin it so it's nice and bright and white. And what we're doing there is we're emulating the root of aquatic vegetation. And the reason I used potatoes here, I'll show you. Right here. This is the root of a lily pad. And when I was here and getting some sticks to make my thing, I saw this. I said, these are root eaters. This hut, they're gonna be eating a lot of roots. So that's why we used potatoes. So let's check our last set here. This one was not hanging because I was in shallower water. I actually set it on a pole. And I'll add, when we're checking traps, the reason I don't want to, I like them to ice over so that it's nice and dark in there. So when I'm checking, I put this little hole. You can see this little hole that I made when I checked it the first time, just enough to see down in there. I got a feeling there's something in here that we need to take out.
We had a cool experience at this hut just a couple weeks ago where we were obviously being a bit noisy because when we came up on the hut, we watched 4 muskrat and 1 beaver swim away.
So we've had really varying water conditions here around us lately. You know, big rain events in the winter, just kind of weird weather. Nice. The old potato. Oh, cool.
What?
This beaver was coming back from its food bed.
Oh, cool. Oh, the last snack.
Holy shit. Wow. Wow, look at the size of the beaver. Wow, all right, Joey, I know. This is Joey's part. Oh, holy crap. So
That's a massive beaver.
that is a huge beaver. Now I want to talk about how we caught this beaver. This trap I had set with the trigger going this way. You always set them with the trigger going here or here. And that's so when the conibear closes, or the body grip closes, it's closing against their chests for that constricting. So we don't traditionally set them like this because when the trap closes, it's closing instead of on top and below.
Just keep going.
Instead of on top and below of the chest cavity and squishing them this way, it's coming across their trachea. And traditionally, again, with the older model traps, it was not as, it wasn't as lethal. These traps we're using, these are full closure Belials, and they are unbelievably strong. And so I'm very, very comfortable running the trigger this way and catching them like this. I mean, you can see how close those, first off, you know, how powerful these springs are, and second, how close those 2 jaws are. I mean, that was a very quick mortality for that beaver. Wow, it's huge. Now the other thing is that, you know, he, I'm not sure yet. We'll see when we get back to the fur shed, but was coming back from the feed bed. So this is what beavers do, this kind of little beaver ecology. Every night, comes time to eat, comes dinner time, beavers come out of the hut and they go out to their food bed and they chew off a little bit of that stored food, right? These animals live under ice for months and months, so they store a bunch of food. She chews off a piece, and then she swims back in, and, you know, gets up in the lodge, and we'll eat on that for a little bit, and then you'll often see these, well, you'll see spent sticks, like right where Joey's sitting here. So when they come back out, you know, they go in the lodge, they eat their food, and they come back out and they take their waste, you know, so they're only eating the bark, the cambium, which is the growth layer of the tree. They come, they kick it out, and they keep their hut nice and clean. So let's get this beaver out of the trap. This is a huge, huge beaver.
How much do you think it weighs?
That's gonna be pushing 50.
I was gonna say 51.
You think?
I do.
I think it's gonna be 50 on the nose.
All right.
We just got a new set of setters, and admittedly, we're not huge on them. This little, I might file this out, make this grab more, but they have a tendency to jump off. Wow, look at how cool that is. So she had grabbed, again, I keep on saying she, I'm not sure the sex yet. It had grabbed a stick and was bringing it back to the lodge, and it said, "What's this old potato thing doing over here?" That is too cool. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a 53-pound beaver. Look at that. Yeah, get that, Joey. Yeah, are you excited? All right, we're getting on the snow. The other thing is it's a bit warmer today, but you're gonna be really careful with your beavers. Oh, someone's stopping and looking at us. You're gonna be really careful with your beavers about laying them on the ice, because they'll freeze to the ice often. So again, I'm gonna lay it on snow. But if I were just to lay her here and do my thing and go to pick her back up and she's frozen to the ice, that'd be a problem. So always lay it on something they can't freeze to. So we'll show you how we remake this set. I'm not sure if you can kind of see in the hole what I was going for here. So you see that light colored sand? This is really mucky bottom area. And that light colored sand tells me that the beavers have been using this. They're keeping it open, they're keeping that fresh. So this is what we're gonna do. This is a simple set. Where's my safe? There it is. Just a skinned potato skewered onto the trigger. And I'll tell you, sometimes I'm curious as to whether they think it's food or whether it's just a curiosity thing. Like, I've been floating around this water for months and months. I've never seen one of those before. Either way, it's often a productive set. So when I run my eyelets down this way, I got to make sure that my safeties come all the way back, because if my safeties are here and that fires, you can catch it. So here, and again, I'm taking these off now because I have this safety on. I actually want it this way. But same thing, just be careful where that is, because if that catches. Because I'm doing that, I'm gonna put this on this side. All right, so this set was as simple as running this down. Now that is in there, but see how that trap can go back and forth? I don't like that. I want that to be nice and snug. So I'm gonna take this stick and run it across in between these two jaws. So I'm running it so that when the pressure's on it, it's pinning it back. And now that is rock solid in there.
Nice.
So be very careful taking off your safeties.
Cool.
That's that. I'm gonna put this back over the edge to help freeze it in. And we'll leave that and get this beaver out of here. Now comes the fun part. You can see how much it weighs and really get a look at this thing. Jeez. Okay. I'm guessing 53, Riley. What are you thinking?
I'm sticking to my 51.
Scales on. Wow, it's still tails on the ground still. You ready?
Whoa,
What is it?
55.
55 on the nose. Wow. That is a big beaver. Now let's check one last thing. So you can't sex a beaver until you actually open up, until you start to skin it and you look for the reproductive organs. But you can get, sometimes you can get a hint. Females who have bred the last year or are going to have pups this year will often have descended teats. I'm not feeling them on this. That doesn't mean that it's not, oh, no, yeah, there it is. There it is. So it's probably going to be, I don't know, that's not very big. So anyway, we'll let you know. We'll let you know when we get inside if it's a male or a female, but that tail gets to go on the wall. This is our wall of 50-pound beavers or greater. And we trace out the tail, and we just started doing it this last year, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. So thanks for coming along.